Hi everyone. Today we're going to take a look at a gorgeous book dedicated to two beautiful Italian ocean liners. The book is Saturnia and Vulcania, Record Motorliners, written by Maurizio Eliseo. This is quite a big book. And it deserves to be, because these ships are absolutely beautiful, and more so because they tend to get overlooked when you compare pre-World War II Italian liners. People immediately think of the Rex and the Conte de Savoia, whereas these two incredible liners had very long careers and were incredibly well fitted out. Saturnia and the Vulcania were built in 1928, and at 24,000 tons, they sat within the mid-range of ocean liners of the day. Originally, their looks were ridiculed because aside from having a rather standard blockish exterior, their funnels was the typical low motorship look, which kind of looked as though it had been squashed, which you can see in the photos. But over time, people warmed to the look. In addition to being the world's largest ocean liners in 1928, they also had a deck that was dedicated to balconies for first-class cabins, something which, as we all know, is now pretty much standard on any cruise ship. The standout for both liners was the incredible, and what modern viewers might see it as over-the-top, interiors. And this book dedicates quite a lot of pages to the interiors, as it should, because as no doubt you're seeing cycling through up here in the corner, they are incredible. This is Italian Baroque at its best. And on first glance you might think that this style would fit in with the German ocean liners of the 1890s, but it needs to be remembered that up until the early 30s, the first-class target audience were older, were quite conservative in outlook, and so a older architectural look appealed to them. And this decor pretty much reached its zenith with the Saturnia and the Vulcania. The Rex, which came in the 30s, was an odd mix of conservative with the faintest touches of deco, whereas the Conte de Savoia had quite clearly deco touches with elements of earlier styles. It's in the 30s with the smaller liners, such as the Victoria, the Neptuna, and the Oceana, three fine 1930s vessels, where we got to see Italian deco come out in full force. As these ships progressed into the 1930s, the tourist class accommodation was gradually modernized to keep up with the times. And again, they were also modernized slightly in the Second World War. But the ornate first-class interiors remained right throughout the lives of the ships. And this book is a loving tribute to both vessels, as you can see, lavishly illustrated with beautiful photos, diagrams, color illustrations, black and white photos of the ships in all their glory. Both vessels had long careers and lasted well into the 1960s. It's crazy to think that these vessels were on the Atlantic service just as the Michelangelo and the Raffaello, these ultra-modern vessels that screamed 1960s, were about to enter service. Whereas these vessels, which were vestiges of a very different past, were still reliably plying the oceans. Saturnia was scrapped, and we do have some sad photos of it in its fate, whereas the Vulcania was sold on to Ciosa Lines and became a very early cruise ship with a white hull. And this is where my one gripe for this book lies. So much love, care and attention has been given to the mainline career of these ships, but the years of Ciosa service, where the Vulcania ran as the Caribia, is covered over in 2 pages, plus photos, and then we're done. We don't even have photos of it being towed away to the scrapping, any photos or newspaper articles of the grounding that ended the career of the ship, although it is said that the ship was technically on its last cruise and then its engines decided to give out and it drifted aground. In addition to that, some more photos of the ship's interiors while it was operating as the Caribia would have been great, and even some accounts. We have plenty of accounts of passengers and crew while they were operating on their main Atlantic services and their times during the war as hospital ships and repatriation vessels. You even have an account of when Rin Tin Tin was on board. So that is my one single gripe, and should this book ever go into a second edition, it would be fantastic to have just that additional information. Another 10, 12 pages of information about its time as the Caribia would have been fantastic. Aside from that, again, this is a book made with love, dedicated to these quite stunning vessels that in the modern sphere, at least internationally, they tend to be overlooked when you compare, say, Rex, Conte de Savoia, Andrea Doria, Cristoforo Colombo, and then, of course, the 2 final megaliners. Leonardo da Vinci was in there, but not a megaliner. But I mean to say the Raffaello and the Michelangelo. So, with all this competition, they tend to get put to the side, which is sad. This book puts them firmly back in the spotlight. And for anyone who is a lover of Italian ocean liners, then this book should be top of your list because it is stunning. The photos up here should indicate that for you. I've included a link of where you can purchase a copy of the book, and when you get the copy of this book, you also get a complimentary postcard which has a beautiful cutaway of the ships. A larger version of this is included within the book itself. And in the front piece and back piece, you also have deck plans of the Vulcania, again, which you would have seen by now as well. A loving tribute written by one of Italy's foremost maritime historians. This is a splendid, molto bellissimo book, and it gets a 4.5 captain's hats. Should this book go into another edition, a bit more about the Vulcania's last career as the Ciosa Line's Caribia would be fantastic. But in terms of coverage, images, accounts, it is absolutely stunning and beautiful, and any fan of Italian ocean liners and ocean liners in general should seriously consider adding this to their library. And there you have it. There you have it. If there are any other liners you would like reviewed, particularly if they've got books about them, let me know in the comments below and I'll certainly add them to my list. So, until next time, enjoy and happy reading everyone.